I got infinity money.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Beyond the Backboard Podcast, episode Big 40. Thank you guys for joining us. Unfortunately, hold on. Next to me is Earl, below me is Max. But on some unfortunate news today for episode 40, we lost a basketball legend, somebody we all knew and loved to our very hearts, and Jerry West. And it's unfortunate that it happened of today of all days. We do have a big day coming up, and we will talk about that soon. But I know Max wanted to say a few words before we got started, so Max, take it away.
Yeah. The NBA community lost one of its greatest and most respected members today in Jerry West. And while the man's silhouette has become synonymous with basketball, he was so much more than a logo for the game. He excelled at his craft and en route to making the number 44 one of the most iconic numbers in all of sports. He achieved 14 All-Star Game appearances, 4 All-Defensive First Team honors, 10 All-NBA First Team honors, a Finals MVP, and an NBA championship during his time as a player for the Los Angeles Lakers. Not only that, but West achieved equally successful stints as both a coach and a front office executive who guided 8 teams to NBA championships, making him one of the most decorated basketball heroes of all time. West was also a loving husband and a caring father, and one who was beloved and admired by the entire NBA community for the entire duration of his life. He brought immeasurable joy to the lives of countless people, and for many that grew up watching him play, there will never be anyone greater. So I'd like everyone who's listening or watching to please join me in a moment of silence in honor and in memory of Jerry West. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Max, for the beautiful words.
Of course, yeah.
That was beautiful. I love that. I think that emphasized how everybody is feeling today. It's not the best news, but we do have to carry on and continue the show. Rest in peace to Jerry West. My condolences to his family. Anyways, not to quickly pass through it, but if Earl wants to say
this,
something.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll say something too. We talk about Lakers legends a lot on the show. I mean, I do spam a lot of names: Kobe Bryant, Shaq, Kareem, but Jerry West is honestly one of the pinnacles of what it means to be a Los Angeles Laker. Like Max mentioned, the way he carried himself on and off the court. He is known as the logo. I mean, Max has stood on the show defending Jerry West to the very ends about how he's not recognized as much as he should be, and he's right. His impact was so great that he became the face of what basketball is. When you look up NBA, you'll never forget who Jerry West is. So, to hear his passing, obviously, it's tough. It's tough to process, especially for a lot of fans out there. And being in the Lakers community, I felt like it's just hard, man. So shout out to Jerry West, praying for him and his family, obviously. Hopefully that things are transitioning smoothly. I seen that he passed away with his wife peacefully. I seen on Twitter. That's what they were saying. So that's good to hear as well. So hopefully his children, his family is all good to go and taken care of. But yeah, he's somebody who there'll never be another Jerry West. So shout out to Jerry West, all of his accomplishments on and off the basketball court, and you'll be missed, man. Like he impacted so many organizations. I'm just happy that he was able to be a part of the Lakers family and just share his impact throughout the years he was with us, man. So shout out to Jerry West. He will be missed. He is loved across the whole world. No matter who you are, no matter what team you are a part of, you can't take away Jerry West's greatness. And It's a sad day, like Omar said, like Max said. It's just really unfortunate, but yeah, I think that's what I got. But shout out to Jerry West, man. Praise out to his family throughout this tough transition, and he's a legend.
Yeah, it's been a rough week, actually. I'm not sure if you guys have ever heard of this guy's name. He was known for reading comic books and certain types of voices and all of that, and I believe it was June 8th that he passed away in a tragic accident as well. His name was Comic Storian. I've back in the day in high school, man, I used to listen to him all the time too. So it's just been a rough week in terms of losses. So rest in peace to the both of them. And I think we can continue. But let's try to turn up the energy, guys, because we do have a big guest today coming on a little bit later at around 12:30. We got Justin Maltz, the co-creator of Sixers.Mania and PSF podcast and PSF app. We're going to be talking with him. Unfortunately, Mitch had a little bit of emergency that he had to attend to today. He was planning to be here today as well, but it's just unfortunate that he couldn't. But Justin was still able to step in and can possibly, we could talk to him a bit more about certain things. But before we get into that, we're talking about our predictions for the NBA Finals. And I'm on track so far. I got to say, that's all I have to say. I've been on track so far.
I mean, it's about perspective. Did I get some of the games wrong? Maybe, but I still have it going to 7 games. Laugh at me if you want. I'm sticking with it. I'm standing on business. I'm not switching up. I still got it going to 7 games, and it's going to be an all-out battle for the last game. But I agree with you. I think our predictions are kind of Omar is aging really well. Said Celtics go out there, dominate first 2 games. I can't remember what Max predicted, but I think
same
he
thing.
said 6 games.
Okay.
You said 6 games, yeah.
Okay. So I'm the only one.
Like 5.
No, I said 7. I had 7 with Dallas. You had 7 with Celtics, and Max had 6 with Celtics.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I had 6 with Celtics. At this point, I'm thinking it's probably 5 with Celtics.
I think mine is just gonna age like fine wine now, because now there's a certain injury that came up yesterday. I'm not trying to prey on anybody's downfall. Don't even start on that conversation. Wow, I'm not even gonna entertain that.
I literally seen you. Your whole
Don't even say it. Don't even say it, because I know where it's gonna go. Because I know where it's gonna go. I know where you take things now. We're 40 episodes in. I know where you take it.
I'm just saying, I know how you talked about my boy AD last year. So
you know what? And I also said on another podcast that I stand corrected. He played very well this season, and he played most of the season. So I was very proud of him for that. I've said that on multiple occasions.
No, you have.
Anyway, I do want to say that with Kristaps Porzingis now, it's gonna be harder for the Celtics in terms of spacing. I mean, I do think Al Horford will offer the same amount of spacing because of, he can shoot the 3 as well. I just don't think it's gonna be at as high as a level. I think Kyrie is about to turn up in Dallas, and Luka is about to turn even more up in Dallas. So I think it's going to be fun. I think Luka is going to search for competition in game 5 and steal game 5. Jason Tatum will have a miraculous game in game 6. And then Dallas will clutch. I think it's going to be really close. I think it's going to be one of those situations that people are going to talk about in history for the days to come. Like, remember how people talked about that the game between the Lakers and the Celtics where Jason Tatum fouled LeBron James on a dunk, and it was so clearly a foul, but they still didn't call it after reviewing it?
Eric Lewis.
I feel like it's gonna be. I feel like it's gonna be.
I have an Eric Lewis tattoo right here, just to remind me when I look in the mirror. Eric Lewis.
Screwed me. But I said earlier this year, and this wasn't to you guys, but this was actually to my friend group, because we watch Knicks games together from time and time again. we just beat the Philadelphia 76ers. This was fresh off beating them. And I said to my friend, the Indiana Pacers scare me a little bit. He said, why is that? I said, well, this is reminding me of a time when we traded a certain bench player by the name of Chris Copeland to Indiana. That same year, while Indiana made it to the conference finals and beat us. I believe it was 6 games. I don't get me wrong. It wasn't as long as 7 games. I think they beat us in 6, but still the premise stood. And where I compared it was the fact that we traded Obi Toppin last year for 2 second-round picks. And then he ended up being a huge part in that Indiana Pacers run to 7 games. So I told him, I was like, this just reminds me of I think it was 2013. Was it 2013, Max? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it was 2012, 2013.
2012, 2013. But that's what it reminded me of. And that's exactly what goddamn happened. And I knew I had a reason to be scared. And it wasn't because of Tyrese Halliburton. It was because of Pascal Siakam. Because I knew Pascal Siakam was going to fucking unlock their spacing. I mean, Miles Turner was doing it to a certain degree, but Pascal Siakam took it to a whole different level. And then on game 7, they shoot 67%. Are you kidding me? I don't even want to talk about that.
The anomaly game.
But I just feel like I've been calling a lot of NBA points. I feel like it'll work. I feel like it'll come into play. What I have to, my prediction.
Okay. This is my thought process. I don't even think it doesn't matter about a Luka game. At this point, we need a Kyrie and the others game. I feel like Kyrie Irving has not been the most efficient scorer as he's been throughout the playoffs. It's usually been Kyrie Irving and Luka show. Now it's Luka and the band. I feel like that's what it's changed to throughout this series. And it's not working. Luka can go out there and get 30 points, though, and they're not going to win.
With Kristaps Porzingis, I'm sorry to cut you off. I didn't mean to do that. But with Kristaps Porzingis, that eliminated their lob threat. So when you put Kristaps
Porzingis was coming off the bench, not discrediting Porzingis, but even those stretches when Porzingis wasn't on the floor with Al Horford was getting buckets too. I'm not discrediting what Porzingis brings, but I feel like it still doesn't change the fact that Kyrie Irving can't miss all those open threes, open shots. Same with PJ Washington. I've been watching those role players take and airball. I'm watching role players just airball open threes. It was giving me Lakers flashbacks. I'm like, bro, y'all are at the NBA finals. Y'all have to make these shots. This is the difference between role players getting that bag chasing contract to almost vet minimum / out the league type of situation. So I just don't understand. I don't know if the moment's too bright for some of these guys, but my point is just make the open ones. I know it sounds silly and simple, but it's not like they're just not getting easy looks because they're putting a lot of pressure on forcing Luka to win the game. First game, Luka had 1 or 2 assists. I think that's his lowest assist in the playoffs total so far. 2 assists in the game is terrible. So
I feel like we gotta give Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington some time because they quite literally came from the bottom of the league.
I mean, they've been playing good.
They've been playing really well. I just feel like the lights are a little too bright.
I'm just saying now.
But I do think in Dallas it's gonna be a different game. Don't get me wrong.
I'm just saying now it's too late for all that. It's at this point
it's never too late.
No, I'm not. You're misunderstanding me. I'm saying for those type of conversations, it's too late for are the lights bright? I know I brought that up, but that was kind of it can't be that type of situation. You're in the NBA finals, you got to wake up and realize, hey, we got here for a reason. The reason the Mavericks are in the finals right now is because they made those marginal moves. Shout out to Rob Pelinka that put their team in a position to win games. Daniel Gafford's defense, rebounding, his ability to be a lob threat, got to bring that back. Whether it's defense or just rebounding, you have to do that at an elite level. PJ Washington, same PJ Washington we were talking about. How is dude shooting 38+% from 3? That was huge for them. I think it was a series or whatever. He was hitting open shots. He was taking it off the dribble. He was being an effective third scoring option. We need that PJ Washington. It doesn't change because we get to the finals. you really got to elevate your game even more. Like you're playing the Boston Celtics. We talked about this last week. The only way the Mavericks win versus Celtics, they have to play perfect. That's the only way. Celtics can make every mistake in the book. It doesn't matter. Drew Holiday gave you 31 game. Other game, Tatum had like what? I think he had like almost a triple double, but it was like 18 something points. But there are other role players, the other role players, star role players, I'll call them. They're performing. They're showing up when they have to. They're hitting their open shots. They're getting to the paint. Mavericks, y'all have to do the same thing. And Kyrie Irving, there's no more games you can have under 30 points at this point. I said it before. Like the only way they win is if Luka and Kyrie get 30 each a game, minimum. That's the only way these guys are going to win at this point. And that's not even guaranteed to win you the game. So I just think the others on that Mavericks team, they have to, boom, wake up. Hey, I'm in the NBA Finals. I'm not a fan standing on the sideline watching it. Like, you can't do that. You can't play watch me basketball with Luka Doncic out there and have him force up. Like, because at this point, Luka, he's been taking some crazy shots. Like, he's not even passing, being that passive Luka like we need him to be because dudes ain't hitting. So I think the others just have to step up, especially it starts with Kyrie Irving. He has to be more efficient. If you're going to take 25 shots, you got to be making at least 14 of them, minimum, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Max, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's, the fact that that Dallas couldn't beat the Celtics in game 2 after Boston gave you probably the worst offensive game they're going to have all series. I forget if I said it on our predictions pile last week, but the only way going into the series, I figured the only way that Dallas can win is if Boston shoots themselves out of games. And that's literally what it takes. Because when Boston is hitting their shots and they're executing at the level they can, they're so good you're not beating them. Like, it really is Boston's games to lose. I think you've seen that throughout this whole playoffs, is that it takes them significantly underperforming. And they did significantly underperform. And you got probably the worst Jason Tatum game you're going to get in terms of scoring. I know we had 12 assists or whatever, but poor game from Tatum scoring, poor shooting overall. They probably shot close to 30% from 3. That's the game you have to win. I don't care if it's in Boston. If you're Dallas, if you can't beat them with that kind of game, I don't know how they beat them going forward. I figure Luka and Kyrie will give them at least one game in Dallas just off of pure combining for 75. But even if they do, like, who else is stepping up on that team? Like, they still need to get to that number. So at this point, I think it's probably Celtics in 5, if not 4. I just don't see the blueprint for this Dallas team being able to beat a Celtics team, because when the Celtics come out and shoot better in the next game and Tatum is better than 6 for 21, Dallas has to step their game up even more. And they still lost that game by a significant. Right. I know it wound up being like 7, but that's because Porzingis went out at the end. So it's not looking good for Dallas, I don't think.
Yeah,
I actually think the opposite. I really think it looks good for Dallas right now, because you guys have to look at it like this: with the elimination of Kristaps Porzingis, that kind of brings.
But is he actually out though? I mean, they said day to day. You don't know what Porzingis. I don't know. I seen the injury though. I see the injury.
Even if that's the case, man, he's gonna look like OG Anunoby. It's gonna be a thing where he's gonna be limping on the court, and you're in 7'3" pain.
I mean, you don't gotta jump when you're getting blocks like that. Porzingis can just and then block you. Like, he doesn't have to jump.
It's gonna be harder to do that on a Daniel on a Daniel Gafford. I'm sorry, like Daniel Gafford, like no matter how you put it, he is still strong enough to move anybody on the court. It doesn't matter. So when you put that against a skinny Porzingis, this is what we said in the earlier of the season, that when Wemby came into the league, we were going to see a little bit of bigger bigs pushing him around. I saw it with Mitchell Robinson. I saw it with Bam Adebayo. I even saw it with Kevin Love for a little bit. Like
Anthony Davis dogged him. Sorry, had to put that out there.
You're right. But with an injury, it's going to be hard for Kristaps Porzingis to actually do much. This is what I'm saying, especially with that injury in particular. That injury takes out people. The fact that you're trying still scares me. He might break his whole leg, but I mean,
he did say
to win the finals is to win the finals.
He did have that quote. He said, "If I have to die out there, I will die out there on the court." If it wins,
shout out to him for growing up, at least. But
so, me personally, if it's I make one wrong move and I tear my whole ligament, I'm probably not going to play. But I understand the pride in wanting to go out there and help compete and win for a championship, and knowing that you being out there is literally a cheat code and a threat. Like when I watch Porzingis so far in this series, he's unguardable. There's nobody on that team who can guard Porzingis. The only way Porzingis is missing a shot is if he just doesn't. I'm using 2K reference. If he doesn't time his jump shot, that's the only way he's missing. I watch him literally pivot, post up, shoot over anybody on that roster. He's done it all series. First game, he came off the bench and had like 14 points in the first quarter, just playing like smooth basketball. Like he's just been weighted. So I don't know. I think Porzingis is just who he is. I think you said it. You mentioned this like just as like kind of a throw into the conversation was he's matured. Like even his game is matured a little bit too. I feel like going into this playoff series, like you see it, like he's shooting more mid-range shots. He knows when he has a size advantage. He kind of takes his size and uses it to his advantage. I said that twice. That's funny. He's been shooting less of those like crazy, like 34 feet threes, kind of scooting a little bit more, taking efficient shots. So I think me personally, I wouldn't risk that type of injury because I've seen what it is by forcing the play if you're not ready to play. But from his point of view, I think he understands that him being out there, he's a big enough just as a threat that gives the Celtics the space and they need to win.
Right. All right. I think this is a good way to segue. Everybody, please welcome the co-creator of Sixers.Mania and PSF app. We got Justin Maltz. Thank you, Justin, for joining us.
How we doing, guys? How we doing?
Good.
Not
great.
bad.
It's great to have you on, man.
Appreciate you having me. Super excited for this.
Yeah. So guys, we got me, Earl, and Max all actually met on a PSF app. We've told you guys about this. I believe on our first episode, our background and our journeys. If you guys want to check that out, I mean, you guys should check that out before checking
episode
this
2.
I think it's episode 1.
No, I'm just playing. I don't know what episode it is.
But regardless, we're so excited to have you on, man, because we just wanted to get your journey through Sixers.Mania and PSF app, the makings of everything. So I guess I'll ask the question because we're already talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you take us through your journey with Sixers.Mania? How did that start, and how did you guys get so big?
Yeah, absolutely. It was a wild process. Honestly, it was nothing super different or special. I was on my couch one day and grew up in the Philadelphia area, both Mitch and I, and figured love the Sixers. I was probably 16, 15 at that time, and I made a Sixers account, called it Sixers.Mania. It kind of stuck and just started posting, just random news and some highlights here and there. It wasn't great at first. Honestly, the biggest thing that I noticed was consistency and just being active with it. That was the thing that really, I think, brought it to the next level. We started doing collaboration posts with other accounts. And at that time, you couldn't even directly collab. We just would at their, whatever their username was, and then just go from there. But yeah, it was a ton of fun and mainly started posting, like I said, Sixers news, highlights, you name it, just obsessed with the team. The off seasons, like right now, is a little tough because there's not a ton going on. But once we hit free agency and, that sort of thing, we'll certainly post some more. But yeah, just throughout the journey, started that in 2016, started to grow it. I remember I was actually on vacation. I was like, Mitch, can you help out here? He started posting for me, really took over. And then from there, I got back and then we just started posting together and really working on it and bringing it to the next level. When we were seniors in high school, we actually made some merch for Sixers.Mania. We had t-shirts. We would give them out to some friends. Figured, let's make this something special. And, it never really stuck with the merch. We gave out some shirts, didn't really sell anything, but figured, why not at least, spread the brand. It was kind of fun. We had a pretty decent chunk of our high school talking about it, which was a cool experience. And then throughout college, just kind of kept it rolling. And ever since then, it grew. Right now, we're kind of coasting at around 29, 30,000-ish followers, which it's been solid. It's hard to grow once you hit a certain point. I remember we went from 5,000 to close to 15 in less than a year. So it really grew very, very quickly and then kind of coasted since then. But I think, it also depends on the success of the team. The Sixers, they're the masters of the mid. We're great at getting out in the second round, as everyone knows. So, can we get past that? Maybe that'll help the account. But, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah, that's actually a question that I had, obviously when you're building a brand around a team, like you said, it is very reliant on the team. I know kind of when you guys started, that was kind of the height of like the trust the process. You were rebuilding. There were some down years there for Philly, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Was it difficult to kind of get off the ground and get the account going when, maybe there's not as much hype around the team and it's more of a niche following versus one of the more popular teams?
Yeah, I think a couple things with that. Definitely, Philadelphia is a huge city. So the fan base, whether the team sucks, which it definitely did for those few years, we were the worst team in the NBA. And yes, it got you Joel Embiid, it got you Ben Simmons, which at the time I still support and think it was the right pick. He had some positive years, then fell off. But it was definitely hard to grow during that. We had Simmons actually comment on one of our posts. He had like the praising hands emoji, which I was like, that was awesome.
Okay.
And that was in the very, very beginning. That was like 2016, maybe 2015. So it was early in his career. We also had Joel Embiid, I believe, even like one of our posts. That was a while ago. So we've had some success there. Some of them hit the trending page, but it was awesome to see. Even like Ben Simmons' brother even commented on one of ours as well. So we had some of those connections in the beginning, but hard to grow, yes, because the team just performed so poorly for such a long time. But I think there was this sense of, hey, we're on the come up. They got young pieces here. I remember even Okafor at the time, like I had an Okafor jersey. I was a big believer. Of course, that didn't work out. But, we had some of those guys, Robert Covington in his prime, starting to come together. I remember the first year, even Joel Embiid's first game against the OKC Thunder was just a huge experience. He had a great first game. I remember that was the Westbrook where of course, the Philly fans, which he gave the double finger to Westbrook, which you never want to see. And that's kind of Philly's reputation. But still, there was a level of excitement there. I think we won like 30 games the first year, which is not great. But still, there was a level of, hey, you go from 10 wins to 30. There's something to build off of. And I think that translated into the account as well.
Yeah,
man, I'll say Jahlil Okafor, man. I'm a Duke fan, so I thought Jahlil Okafor was the next coming of like.
Oh man, didn't we all?
I don't even know, man. Like he was so good, and I think that's a prime example of like how it's different to translate your game from college to obviously NBA. Everybody can't do it. Styles aren't the same, so that was a funny memory to bring back on for sure.
Yeah.
I did want to talk to you. I did want to ask something. So we're going to talk about Ben Simmons because you brought it up earlier.
Love it.
Do you think it was truly Philadelphia's fault, or do you think it was that he ended up going into this like spiral of therapy? I don't think so. I think it was just his own like depression, I guess.
Yeah.
But do you think the city of Philadelphia had a part to play in what actually transpired after the fact?
Yeah. No, I think it's a loaded question. Number one, Ben Simmons had not only some of his best years in Philadelphia. He was an all-NBA type defender. Offensively, yes, he couldn't shoot for the life of him, but he was a creator. If he was just a little more aggressive at the rim, I think it changes everything. That final play of basically his Sixers career where he passed to Matisse Thybulle against Trae Young, who's basically half his height, that was the end of it. And then the implosion happened after where, he kind of went into a spiral and they end up trading for James Harden. I think part of it is due to the Philly fan base. There's a small part of it where, yes, it's a tough city. They get under your skin. And Joel Embiid even at times has had some growing pains here. Some fans, most of them, he's so dominant, it's hard not to even support him through his injuries, which I'm a big believer. I would never trade Joel Embiid, but there's some Sixers fans that say, get him out of here. They don't like his work ethic, his leadership. He needs to lose weight. Same thing with Ben Simmons, but it was more of the off the court stuff. He's not mature. He can't handle it. He folds under pressure. And I think you saw that play out. It happened that offseason, and that's why they ended up shipping him off to the Brooklyn. But I think part of it is the fans. Mainly it was his mental well-being, and I think a lot of it had to do with the family. He also had a sense of he was just a little bit arrogant. That's the way that he played basketball. You could tell Joel Embiid was more of that like homegrown. He's going to win with this team, trust the process. That's his nickname for a reason. We're going to grow with him. Ben Simmons was here. He was a product of the process for sure. I think we gave up on him a little too early, but he also gave up on us. And if you do that to Philly, they're going to say, get out of here. And that's what ended up happening. So, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I don't see anything wrong with that one. There's a couple of superstars that Philadelphia has been thinking of bringing along. What do you think? Who do you think it should be?
I mean, it's tough. There's a lot of fans that go, listen, I don't even want a top player like a Paul George, like a LeBron at this point in their age. I'm in a different mindset. We are in a win now mode. You have Joel Embiid in his prime. He's injured every single playoffs, yet he still put up 50 against the Knicks. And I know he had a down series and had a lot of ups and downs there. And if he can just be somewhat healthy, they have a chance with anyone in the league. Tyrese Maxey took a huge step, but they need to land one of these bigger free agents. I love LeBron. I think that's extremely unlikely. Realistically, if they can get Paul George, yes, he's a little bit older, but still, I would pay him the max. I just would. It's an upgrade over Tobias Harris. As we all know, you can't get much worse than what we were doing with Tobias. And that's honestly a big part of why I don't think we were able to get over the hump and past the second round. You have basically this, 38, whatever, $40 million a year player for the past 4 or 5 seasons as just a hole in your roster where you can't afford to pay, solid role players to step up when Joel Embiid's off the court or a solid backup center. There's a lot of Sixers fans that were like, well, Embiid's off the court, now what? And that shouldn't really be an issue. It is because we had no depth. And yes, we had some veterans. And I think this was definitely a season that got away from us. But overall, they need to target either Paul George. I would love LeBron. I've heard Jimmy Butler rumors. I don't even know if I want Butler back, to be honest. He's an upgrade for sure, just talent-wise. But I don't think he fits that well with us. He also misses usually about 40 games a season from vacationing / injuries. So that's tough. But yeah, Paul George, LeBron are my 1A, 1B right now for this offseason.
I'll say one more thing. You're not taking OG from us. I'll say one thing. You're not taking OG from us.
That's fair. And there's even the one guy run a Sixers podcast on this as well. He's a big believer and he's like, I wouldn't even pay OG the max. And you kind of have to. And that's where the NBA is going, where it's like, is OG worth a max in today's age? Yes. But realistically, there's some players that I would say he's probably not worth whatever 30, 35 million a year. That's a lot of money to play a guy that is somewhat injury prone. He's a good shooter, a great defender, but what else are you getting? He's not a true shot creator. That's where a guy I think like Paul George would fit perfectly alongside Tyrese Maxey, fits perfectly, alongside Joel Embiid that can kind of create, get his own shot, and also facilitate a little bit. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think, especially for the Sixers now, you need a win now player. Like, you add them to your roster, they already know what they have to contribute. Paul George does that. I'll speak for my boy Bron. He definitely does that. Like LeBron James, as much as I would hate for him to lead the Lakers, I feel like if you add him to Philly with that roster, I mean, you don't really have to give up anything. You're just adding him to it. It's going to benefit every player on that team. I mean, Tyrese Maxey, he kind of gets some of that pressure taken off of him. I know he had a lot this year just because Joel Embiid's injury, but that was really a blessing in disguise because he kind of blossomed into the player we see him as right now. I mean, all-star caliber player. Top guard in the East, I'll say. Maybe not quite all the way up there yet, but he is like right there as far as like skill set.
Yeah.
And then Joel Embiid having a guy who can get you the ball anytime you want and being a scoring threat. I mean, it's kind of a match made in heaven as much as I hate to say it. So I will say Paul George and Bron definitely should be on the top of y'all's list. And if I had the option, hey, if I pay these guys the max for like 2 years, why not? Honestly.
Yeah. I think this is a good kind of point to transition. Obviously, you've talked about Sixers.Mania, but you and Justin have another very successful project, obviously, in PSF, pro sports fans going right now. We all remember when the app was just relevant, Obviously, there's been a transition period there. So can you talk a little bit about, how you come across that, how that starts? I would imagine it wasn't just spur of the moment as the Sixers.Mania. You can't just wake up one day and start an entire app and build an entire community. So what was kind of that journey like for you guys?
Yeah. So just kind of to preface real quick. So we didn't create the app from scratch, Mitch and I. We were, very early adopters to it. We were on board extremely early in the process. We started Sixers.Mania, and actually the segue to it was we were reached out by the founder, the CEO at the time, Winder Hughes, who you probably see on the app sometimes. He pops into some chat rooms. Big UNC guy, so shout out Winder there. But, he reached out to us via DM. This was probably 2019, 2020. It was pretty early in the process where he reached out to us. we responded with, hey, yeah, we'd love to learn more about the app. And then it just kind of went from there. We were running the Sixers chat at basically one of the few people on the app there, Mitch and I, just bringing in users, having some conversation just simply around Sixers basketball. And it grew from there, where they liked our work ethic. We figured, hey, let's run with this. We started the internship on other interns to talk sports and have a lot of like-minded individuals on the app there, like you guys, just to bring us content, be a part of it, learn from us, kind of what we've been through. And that was a great part about the internship, was it was so collaborative. So we built up that part of it. We've also brought on a ton of media casters, and that's been one of our newer projects, where we have guys like yourself now creating podcasts, providing content to plenty of social media outlets on there, and then having shows as well on the app. So that's what we've been doing over the past year plus, directly on the app. We've got going with baseball. We'll get into football next season, of course, running that back. But yeah, it was a long journey. They reached out to us, and it just kind of spurred from there.
Yeah, I'll say I really do appreciate the whole process, because it brought a lot of variety. Like me, entering the job world / internship world, it was a commotion. Like I told you this before, it was just a huge commotion trying to find an internship. At the last minute, then I found PSF or Relevant at the time. And you guys showed us everything, like how to navigate in the sports world. I mean, you gave us so many different avenues, choices, optional choices, which was huge. Variety of shows. I'll say the social media team as well. That helped a lot. Like being able to learn, hey, you're a part of this social media team for this day. Like you're working as a team, and you kind of learn how to build accounts together, build content, how to post, what to say, how to be correct, as far as your grammar and stuff like that, and how to list things, how to give credit. It's just a lot of stuff that goes into the ins and outs. So I will say here, I do appreciate all that. And it's really helped. A lot of us learn everything, and really this podcast is because of you guys. We would have never met each other. We wouldn't know how to produce content, man. So yeah, I appreciate that for sure.
You're killing it. You're killing it. Keep up the great work. I love it too. I love what you've done with the setup. I love the name and everything, man.
Yeah, we appreciate that a lot.
I mean, yeah, it came to a point where last year I really had to I had to leave because I was dealing with school and stuff. I could only do one little podcast a week. So I figured, let me just reach out to Earl and Max, see if they can do it with me. And that's what it was. It was just the connections that we built along the way. We've interviewed Alexandra. We've interviewed Natalie. We've interviewed people from all over PSF. So
I love it.
Special shout out to you guys, because you really entered us into that world and gave us a lot of connections to further our endeavors as well.
It goes both ways. So you guys got to put in that work and put in that hustle. And seriously, we noticed that throughout the internship, and now what you guys are doing now, it puts a smile on both Mitch and I's face. And I'm happy to hear the connections. And seriously, keep it going. This is a great thing that you guys have. Seriously.
Oh yeah, we appreciate that for sure.
So
now, what else?
Yeah, go for it. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, how do you balance it? I feel like it's a lot to manage, a lot of different personalities, a lot of different teams and stuff like that. So how do you and Mitch go on a daily basis of being organized, I'll say?
Yeah, we have a lot of Google Sheets, too many to keep track of, to be honest. So there's a lot of teams and things that go on in the background. We've had probably 300 to almost closer to 400 media casters come through PSF over the last year. There was a point where we were doing individual calls with pretty much every media caster, giving them tours of the app, showing them around, explaining what the role would be, what's coming to the app soon. We've added in new features. We work with third-party Lucre, which is the duels tab that you now see on the app, which is our peer-to-peer wagering. So we deal with them. It's a ton of fun. It's a lot of work here to really manage so many different, like you said, personalities and people, but I honestly wouldn't trade it for the world. It's a ton of fun to get to deal with people. I enjoy it. At sometimes, it can be a challenge where you're trying to manage an internship and you have to shift gears over to, hey, I'm dealing with media casters and posting on Sixers.Mania and running the Twitter for PSF. So there's a lot of different avenues that we go about. But, having the sheets and just being an organized person in general definitely helps me navigate that. And I think working directly with Mitch, it's always good to have a partner in crime where, hey, if you're forgetting something, you can bounce off of them and then vice versa. We try to plan out a lot of our calendar events ahead of time so we know, hey, we're going to post this at this specific time. Same thing with like scheduling a podcast that you guys do. Hey, we're going live at this time. This works for us. That's the process. But definitely calendar sheets, using the apps that we have to our disposal is huge.
Yeah, I think you mentioned your partner in crime, Mitch. Obviously, couldn't be on the show today, but what has your relationship with Mitch been like? I mean, you mentioned knowing him all the way back in high school. So how is that? How's your relationship? How did it start, and how has it evolved into you being the dynamic duo now, heads of PSF?
Yeah. I appreciate that. No, I mean, actually, so I knew Mitch all the way back in elementary school. So we weren't super close then, but we got to know each other throughout life. And, we started the page back in high school for Sixers.Mania. I think that's what brought us a lot closer. He figured, hey, let me help you post for some of these. And then I was like, screw it, just helping me post. Let's run this together. Let's take this to the top and see how far we can go. And I mean, we've been close ever since. We talk to each other pretty much every single day, mainly for work, sometimes for fun, whatever it might be. We'll hang out on the regular. Funny enough, actually, Mitch and I are going to be living together in July. So we're moving in. I'm moving over to Philadelphia. Right now I'm in the suburbs, but I'll be in the city. So I'm excited for that. Just to, have a change in pace in life and be able to live with one of my best friends and also a coworker is a dream come true. So I'm pumped for it. I think it's going to make us more productive for PSF, which is huge. And just overall should enhance the friendship. So I'm excited for it. And known him for a long time. Great guy. And just pumped to see where it can go.
Yeah, we'll get both of you guys on at the same time eventually. Like we have to. But now I wanna get a solid prediction from you. I want to know your day one prediction of what the finals are gonna look like. Take us through your game 1 and game 2. We already know the results. We want to hear all the games that you think is gonna happen. What's gonna happen?
So you're saying go back to game 1? Or
we want to hear your day 1 prediction. Like, tell me what was your game 1 and game 2 prediction prior to the Celtics win.
Gotcha. So, I mean, realistically, as much as I hate the Celtics, they are the better team. I had the Celtics and I believe 6, which is still possible. I think the Mavs can come back in this series, but they're just too dominant. They have the best starting 5 in the NBA. I've been saying that. A lot of people throughout the NBA world have been saying that, and it's true. You look up and down, not only can all 5 players on their team defend at a high level, but offensively they can create. They have 2 of the best two-way wings in the league in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Their guards are elite. Drew Holiday might not be the most prolific scorer in the league, but he can lock down anyone. He's played very well offensively, as we've seen. So I had Celtics in 6, but listen, if they sweep, will I be shocked? No, because they're just that good. And I think sometimes it's their year. I've heard a lot of comments about, yes, they've had an easy path, which is true, but hey, you have to beat the teams in front of you. I know if people are saying that about the Sixers and we were in the finals, I'd say the same thing. So I have Celtics in 6 still. I'm going to stand by that.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I think you made a good point, man. Like, it's just about whatever's in front of you, just got to attack. And it's not like you can choose your matchups. It's up to them to carve their own path. But at the same time, if you made it this far, we talk about this. The only thing this Celtics team is missing right now is a championship. They've had their Eastern Conference runs. They've had their dominating regular season wins in the East. All they have to do now, put it together, is win a championship. Even one championship, even if they never win again, one championship puts you in the books. And I think that's what this Celtics team is feeling. They have every piece to the puzzle right now. Only thing that can beat that team is themselves at this point in time, I feel like.
Yeah, it's their time. It's their time, man. Absolutely. As much as it hurts me to say that as a Sixers fan, and you guys, Knicks, Lakers, you name it, we all hate the Celtics here, but it's their time, man. It is.
It makes me sick, but the truth is the truth.
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
We all do. I mean, I'm still holding out. I got Dallas in 7. I don't know about anybody else, but I still got Dallas in 7.
That game 7 at TD Garden, it's going to be a tough one to win. But hey, if they make it that far and Luka's doing his thing, which we just need Kyrie Irving to wake up just a little bit. Just help me out a little bit. The role players, they usually play better at home. So who knows? Who knows? It's not a series until the Mavs get a win, which I think they can win tonight. They can do it. They're home.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard though. You mentioned, I think we were talking about this before you join in. I think it's Kyrie and the others. That's what this run's been about. Like Luka's been doing his thing. Obviously, you're not going to beat the Celtics by one person doing great. The whole team has to play perfect. We emphasized on that last week. The only way the Mavs can win a championship this year is if they play perfect basketball. And even that, it's still hard for them to win. That's how good the Celtics team is. So it's no room for error. I think Kyrie Irving has to go out there and dominate. He's been putting up a lot of shots, not making a lot of them, unfortunately. So I don't see that continuing. And if anybody can go out there and kind of flip the switch, I think it can be a guy like Kyrie Irving just because of experience. Like he's been in positions in impossible situations. So if anybody can kind of talk their team out of this, I think that person is Kyrie Irving. It's just about guys going out there and responding.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't disagree at all. I think Kyrie Irving, he has to shoot more, man. I know everybody's saying, oh, Luka has to shoot 40 plus shots a game, this and that. I'm like, just give it to Kyrie Irving. I mean, he needs to be a little better. I think he's going to be a little better in Dallas. Same with role players. Role players have statistically always played better at home. So I think we got to just see what happens from there.
Yeah, I think so. Justin, before we let you go here, last question. If you, let's say in this hypothetical world, Philly had made it to the conference finals and had managed to pick if they had seen the Celtics team, let's say relatively healthy, maybe not 100% Embiid, but 85 to 90% Embiid. What do you think they could have done against this team?
It's tough. I still think, the Sixers, they would not be favorites in the series because the Celtics are the best team in the NBA, and we're seeing that play out right now. Yep. Unbiased, I would probably put the Celtics 6 or 7. Okay. I just think they would win in 6 or 7. I'm hoping 7, and maybe Philly can go on the road and fight for that one. But Joel Embiid is a great player. They have guys like Porzingis that play defense at a high level. Al Horford's been his kryptonite at times where he's maybe undersized, but Al Horford's strong. He can stretch the floor. It's a tough matchup. It just is. And that's why they're so dynamic. And they have so many elite guards where it's like, yes, we have Tyrese Maxey, but they can shut you down with Drew Holiday. Or, Drew Holiday's awful. They can throw Derek White at you. Or they can throw Jaylen Brown, who's guarding Luka, who's their best player at times. So it really doesn't matter. I think the Celtics team, just the way they've built this and the trades that they've made, it's a tough one to beat. I think it goes 6 or 7, but I would probably have to pick the Celtics. Now, if the Sixers have Paul George, then we can have a discussion. I think then we're up for debate there. But right now, as the roster was constructed this past season, I would probably put the Celtics in 6 or 7.
Yeah.
Do you think Philly's got a good chance at them next year if they can pick up a PG? Think they have a good chance of making that first conference finals, maybe first NBA finals in a long time?
Yeah, listen, the key is Embiid's health. It's every single season. Usually he stays relatively healthy. Then we get to the playoffs. Maybe he'll play 70 or 60 games in a season, which would be a bonus. And then he gets injured in the playoffs. There's a back issue. His knee hurts. He's out for game 1. Then he comes back and he's still 85. We never get even 90% of Joel Embiid. We never get that. It feels like in the playoffs. If we can have that, I've said it before, he's the most maybe 1, maybe 2 most dominant player in the league. He's physical. He can stretch the floor. He also is one of the most underrated defenders, at least interior wise. At times, he's better than Rudy Gobert. He just is. Statistically, we've seen it play out. He's that elite on both ends. The problem is when he goes off the floor, the team totally falls apart. I think to have a Paul George where, hey, Embiid can rest for 10 minutes and you still have scoring instead of being up 10-0, now they're down. That's not going to happen anymore. So they definitely have a shot. They have to fill out the bench, get a star-level player like a Paul George, and surround Embiid with some real shooters. I would like to bring Buddy Hield back. He had one good game in the Knicks series, and the rest he fell off. But I would like to bring him back. He's probably too expensive, but we'll see what happens. I trust Daryl Morey. So yeah, just got to trust the process, like we've been saying. That's pretty much it.
In my opinion, if you guys, it was the coach's fault on that one because there was a streak of like 3 games where he didn't play, and I was asking myself, I was like, Nick Batum over Buddy Hield? Are you guys serious?
Batum has some games though too. I'm not gonna lie.
He had his fair share of games, but that wasn't even in the series where he had it, right?
Like he has some crazy games, but.
There was a stretch where Hield had like 17 in the first half, and then he didn't play Hield until like the fourth quarter. And I was like, why is Hield not in? He was on fire, especially as a shooter. It's like, if you're feeling it as a shooter, let that thing fly. Just keep shooting. He should be out there for 10, 12 minutes, maybe the whole third. He really should have been. And they didn't play him, which I thought Nick Nurse, for the most part, he was actually a pretty good coach this season, way better than Doc Rivers, which now the Bucks have Doc Rivers and Darvin Ham. So good luck with that, Bucks. I think the whole East just got better. But
when you lose to the Indiana Pacers, that's what happens.
yeah. No, seriously.
Welcome home, Darvin.
Yeah, the East is going to be exciting next year. I think it's going to be competitive East as always. We'll see. That I think the Bucks will come back stronger and better. Yes, they have Dame, who had some ups and downs this year, Giannis, but the East is going to be competitive, and the West is just young and loaded. That's the difference there. But I think the East has a shot to be still competitive. The Celtics are going to be number one no matter what. But yeah, I like our chances. So same with the Knicks. Knicks have a loaded squad, man. They're going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly can't wait till a healthy season with the Knicks, man. We're going to be so dangerous. I don't even think we need any of these big names anymore. Would I love Donovan Mitchell? Of course. Do we need him?
Yeah. I like your style. You got Josh Hart, you got DiVincenzo. I mean, they got some guys that just flat out hustle. Josh Hart might not be the most talented player in the NBA by any means, but man, he gets the job done at 6'4", 6'5". He's getting rebounds over 7-footers. We saw it with Joel and Tobias out there. He was out rebounding the entire Sixers team. So they're a tough out in the playoffs, man. Tibbs plays on the entire game, as we know, but I like their chances.
If he's not a starter by next season, I'm gonna get mad. I mean, like he probably worked so hard for that position. Would I love him to come off the bench? Of course, but what makes more sense? I mean, I don't know. Do I keep Dante DiVincenzo in, or do I slide Josh Hart at the 4 and keep OG at the 3? Like, what do I do there? I don't even know. So
good problems to have, honestly.
Yeah, really good problems to have. But we want to thank you, Justin, for taking the time. We don't want to take too much of your time. We know you got to go, but we do want to thank you so much for being on. And we will definitely get you and Mitch on at the same time. We'll get you guys perspective on everything. So again, we want to thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
for sure,
guys. I appreciate you having me. Absolutely appreciate you having me. Thank you. Super excited, and wish you all the best, and looking forward to keeping this going. Yeah, we'll definitely get Mitch and I on again. And once again, thanks everyone for having me.
Yeah, just real quick before you go, where can people find you and, of course, your awesome projects that we've talked about?
Yeah, of course, Sixers.Mania on Instagram, Sixers.Mania. Check us out there. And then same thing on Twitter, we're Sixers_Mania, I believe. And then, of course, the PSF app, as you guys know, go check it out. It's on Google Play, the App Store. Same thing with the Twitter, PSF app, PSF updates for intern-led sports post on there as well. So appreciate you guys. And yeah, see you guys.
Thank you so much, guys. This stuff will be in the bio. Thank you so much, Justin. That was a great interview, guys. We got like 8 minutes. What do you say we talk about? Let's fill up the hour.
I'll say
no, I'm playing.
I'll say this. I feel like there's been a lot of interesting things. I think it's time to bring this segment back.
Yeah.
What's going down in the NBD? I feel like it's been a really active week in the NBD. We've had 5-6 trades. Maybe I'm over exaggerating a little bit. Even some marginal trades.
There's been.
I don't think you are. I'm gonna look and count it right now, but I don't think you are.
It's been really fun. Like, I feel like the NBD has been live this summer. How do y'all feel about that?
Yeah, it has. It definitely has. I don't see why not. You and
you said what, Max?
I said, you know what helped it?
What?
The liquidation draft. That's what got.
Honestly, you're right.
Whose idea was that?
I mean, it was an idea. Yeah, Omar had a great idea too. But he is right. He definitely pushed me towards going that route. I will say, though, I think Max is right. It was a liquidation draft because everybody had extra assets that they necessarily didn't need. So it just forced a lot of like trades. Like I traded and I got Sabonis from our good friend Mr. Shams, not associated with the real Shams. Omar acquired the number 1 pick in the draft as well. Max, I'm pretty sure me and Max did a couple of deals. I mean, we did a Josh Hart deal.
Yep. You've seen me a couple times.
Yeah.
Yo, wait, can I say this? Because yesterday, I think 2 days ago, Shams was asking the group. Hold on. He asked everybody, why is everyone interested in BI and not that he's on my team? And I was like, because you don't have other assets to offer.
Other
Only
tradable
other thing he has is Julius Randle. So I told him this because he did this to himself. Because I can literally go back in time. We figured a way to go back in time on this app.
Yep.
I said because he's the only player with Julius people would want in any trade. I said you messed up your roster, and I didn't say messed. I said something else, but we're not gonna say it right now. I said you messed up your roster when you decided to go with the F this. My goal is to lose tour, and then you ask yourself why nobody wants to trade with you. You got no assets, homie. And then Natalie did this. No assets.
That was crazy. I'm not gonna lie. I opened the app. That was out of pocket. It was funny though. That was as far as the created meme in the chat quality, right up there at the top. That was funny.
No assets. Love that. I'm sorry. Just have to say that. But yeah, there was only 3 trades.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I made 3 trades yesterday.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. There was only 3 trades yesterday. I
that's
thought.
a lot. If we go back to Sunday, there's been.
No, if we go,
well, you acquired Zach LaVine and 1.11 for Alex. Or wait, no, you other way around. My bad. Right?
I got KCP.
No, you got Zach LaVine 1.11.
No, I'm just naming all the trades.
You didn't get Wendell Carter. That's a Mitch trade. But then you got KCP as well for that pick.
And then I also got Pascal and Keegan Murray.
That was earlier.
No, I thought you were talking about the week. Like just all the trades. I did 5 trades. I did 5 trades.
Do you guys want to know something funny? I want to know your opinion on this.
Go ahead.
Daniel said Daniel sent me a trade for Isaiah Hartenstein, so I put it on the trade market. But I also said this is contingent if he stays with us. If he doesn't stay with us, I'm going to trade him. If he does, I'm not going to trade him.
Okay.
And he sent me 2 trades for a 3rd round pick, 1 3rd round pick for Isaiah Hartenstein. And I said that's not even close to what I would accept. And he was like, he's a screen setter, Bubba, not a game changer. I was like, you can look at his stats. What are you talking about?
I just
he's a screen setter. What are you talking about, bro? Passes the ball better than your centers.
I mean, I think 3rd is definitely an underpay.
100%
just like a singular 3rd.
Second.
That's what I'm saying. I think a 2nd is good.
Nah.
Fantasy wise, he's not the greatest.
He's not the greatest fantasy wise. I mean, he's okay.
Like me and Omar had a conversation. We had a long conversation about OG yesterday, and I was explaining, and other things, obviously, but I was explaining like OG is a great basketball player. He is like IRL. If I'm looking on the Lakers, yes, I want OG on my team because he does everything. He plays defense, he can score, he can rebound, he does all that. But fantasy-wise, just looking at the history of like fantasy and what he's produced, it wasn't as much as some other guys I was using examples of on my team. So I couldn't make like a crazy huge bid on it. But I was explaining, like, I think Max brought it up. Like, that's what makes our league so fun because everybody doesn't value each player the same. And that's why we get such a variety of different trades. Like some trades, like, oh, this person went for this, went for that. Oh, I would have paid more. Like, it's just a whole lot of different blah, blah, blah. But that's what makes
Would y'all do Brooke Lopez for a 3rd round pick? Because I would.
Yeah.
I tried to do that, but Natalie didn't want it. But that's like a prime example of what you were saying because Natalie didn't want it.
For Brooke, I'd probably do at least a 2nd.
Really?
If you look at his, because if you look at his stats,
I did.
What do you have like?
So his history for this season, he played 78 games, 2,500.
Oh, yeah, that's not bad. I'd do a 2nd.
But then Isaiah Hartenstein was like, okay, yeah. But I see.
I would do a 2nd for both of those bigs.
I mean, they're around the same numbers. It's not like they're not. I think Isaiah Hartenstein was like 2,200.
Yeah,
I think the per game averages were probably relative.
They're about the same.
Isaiah Hartenstein was 16 and a half. It looks like Brooke Lopez was 21 and a half.
No, it was
I don't know. I don't know if that seems right. I don't know. But regardless, she can accept that if she wants, but I'm not. But I wouldn't overpay for Brooke Lopez either. Like, I think he's a good round pick. That's it. But I'm giving her a pick in this draft too. It's not like a pick for further down the line. It's this draft.
And I think it's more so like some players just like, hey, is it worth me moving this player in hopes? Like, I think let me explain it simpler. I think it's easier if somebody knows a player they want to draft and they know exactly what spot they can get them. That will be better than what they're trading. I think that's when it comes to like people trading for picks.
That's why I was trying to trade for Donovan Mitchell yesterday. I was trying to get like more picks, but I mean, it didn't work.
Namaste.
No. I mean, namaste, because like y'all should have heard the conversation. Max can testify for this. Earl was portion, and I was like, "Yo, I just need like an hour."
Bro, no, this is okay. Look, this is how it went. Omar sent me a trade. We did some negotiating. Omar wasn't budging. I went some negotiating here. I'm like it's just like if we're in a situation where we know we're in a league where we make adjustments. So it's like I like to go on the phone and try to make a deal that I'm comfortable with. But sometimes, obviously,
a little bit of an impulsive move. I'm not gonna lie, it was on my part.
And obviously, if I'm presenting a deal, nobody usually accepts on the first offer. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's clear around the league. Like you try to make some type of adjust,ment. So I think it just
never done that, Shams.
That is probably true too. Yeah.
Offer, basically.
I feel like
Empire 26 draft for like Trey Lyles.
Because have we ever like me and Max will go back and forth on the most marginal like second or third round pick for like 30-40 minutes, and we'll just keep adjusting until we're like, okay, you know what, you win, like stuff like that. Like it's usually like it's a whole system, it's a process.
It's a tug of war.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't even want to talk about that.
All right,
bro. I can't believe you guys thought that was an overpay. I really don't think that was an overpay for Donovan Mitchell.
The Daniel
one
was
really
crazy.
Don't think that's an overpay for Donovan Mitchell. I really don't.
The Daniel one?
Yeah, I don't think it was, because DJ's like okay.
What did he put up?
He put up
close to 3,000, right?
I'm gonna double check right now.
He did 46 a game, and I think Zion was 45.
46 a game on average? Yeah, bro, you're bugging.
Yeah, but
Mitchell put up what, 54 average game for
okay,
Mitchell?
you say that. Hold on.
I think Mitch was.
Let me look at the
57. So
yeah, 56.
Donovan Mitchell was putting up what's it called, 60 something a game. 60.
Definitely an average 60 for the season.
No,
it was 60. No, I'm looking at it right now. It's like 65.
No, bro, we had this conversation. It's in the 50s because we were comparing Luka, and then we were comparing Mitch yesterday. It tells you on the side. Where's my trade phone at?
I think I have it. Yeah.
On
the side,
you have an actual trade.
It tells you.
Oh, 54 point. Okay, wait. I see it. Yeah. 54 point. 54.
Yeah, I do have a GM phone. It's a busy life out here, you know.
You should preface by saying it's an older phone, because people are gonna think you're rich and snobby when you say I just got it.
It's not rich. That just means I don't think having two phones makes you rich. It just means that you have two phones. Some could say that
he got two phones.
Not inclined to throw away stuff, you know.
I got two phones.
But anyways, guys, we appreciate you guys stopping by for a very special episode 40 of Beyond the Backboard. Huge big 40. Once again, RIP to a great legend, Jerry West. He will be missed by the whole NBA community. Praise out to his family and friends. Hopefully, his transition is smooth throughout his family and stuff like that. Also, shout out to Justin as well for stopping by, showing love. Obviously, he's a guy who pretty much put all this together for us indirectly, so that's huge. And once again, we appreciate you guys for stopping by for another episode, and we'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.
I got infinity money.